There is often a debate about which circuit is Marc Marquez's best. Many will point to two circuits, either Sachsenring or the circuits of the Americas. But it's rare that you hear Aragon get mentioned in the same breath as those two circuits. Whilst his record around Austin and the Sachsenring suggests that he is better, personally, if there was ever a circuit made for Marc Marquez, it's Aragon. Since 2010, he has won 7 Grand Prix across all classes, and he's also won a sprint race there if you include 2024. Of course, in 2024, it was the circuit where he took his first victory after 1,043 days. But what makes him so good around Aragon? Well, there's a number of things. Let's take a closer look. I'm sure you've heard the discussions about how good Marc Marquez is around anti-clockwise circuits, and in particular left-hand corners. Aragon has pretty much, I'd say, the perfect setup for his riding style. Yes, as I've touched on before, Sachsenring is so left-handed it plays into his hands perfectly, but the nature of the circuit's very different. Sachsenring is very much akin to a go-kart circuit. It's very small, it's very twisty, and I don't think you see the full breadth of Marquez's skill set. You would see it at COTA, but over the past few years, the record at COTA suggests that he hasn't been as good there. Aragon's layout is perfect. It's got a real mix of corners that really suit his riding style, and of course, the middle sector towards the back end of the long straight is, I think, the best sector you can ever watch Marc Marquez. Of course, he has his own corner named after him at Aragon, turn number 10, since 2018. And yeah, I think he must feel pretty special every time he rides around there. He looks to his left and he can see the statue of his logo, and yeah, it says Marc Marquez Corner. I think that tells you just how good he is around this place. From 2016 to 2019, he won every single race. Even in his year of 2021, where he came back and he was still struggling with fitness due to his injury with his right arm, he performed magnificently around Aragon. He finished second place to Pecco Bagnaia, and probably he should have won that, and he probably would have won that if he was at full fitness. But 2024, there was a different feel about the weekend. Of course, circuit conditions, track conditions played into Marc's favour that weekend. It was resurfaced last year, and this caused issues with the dirt and the air and the build up of dirt that came across the circuit throughout the middle of the morning, and yeah, it created essentially a dirt track. And if you don't know, Marc Marquez is very good on dirt as well, and I think that is a key factor into why he was so good last year. But that's not the point I'm making here. His record previously has showed his full repertoire of how he can manage a race around here, whether it be with tyres, outright pace. He's just that good around Aragon. And if you go back to his rookie year in 2013, it was probably his finest win that year, when you look at how dominant he was over the weekends and how he was able to pull away from Jorge Lorenzo. There was an incident with Danny Pedrosa, but he wasn't going to be beat that weekend. And as a rookie, that kind of set the tone for me watching it back. This guy is special around here for a number of different reasons. 2016, he managed the race brilliantly. The Honda wasn't the best bike that year, and it really relied on Marc to make the tyre work in the second part of the race. 2017 was something similar. He bided his time and he struck. But the race I think that doesn't get talked about enough is 2018. It was a brilliant battle with Andrea Iannone, Andrea Dovizioso, and it came down to tyre choice. Marc, I believe, ran the soft rear, and he had something, how can I say, it was a bit of a risk that he ran in the race that day. He didn't need to, but he felt the morning warm-up when he discussed with his crew chief, Santi Hernandez, that if they went for this tyre choice, it would be the better option come the end of the race if he was able to manage. And that's what he done. He slowed the race down. He had a brilliant battle with those two, and he then pulled the pin with a few laps to go and showed why he's able to manage around a circuit in a different way than others. 2019, I think, is arguably his most dominant weekend ever in MotoGP, and I went back to watch it. I haven't watched it in a load of years. And I was really surprised at how normal it seemed for people back in 2019 to think that Marc Marquez was doing these normal things. But it's not. When you look at this, so if you want to go back, if you have Video Pass, if you have something that you're able to watch and look at the old sessions, Marc Marquez, at the start of FP1 in 2019, everyone in FP1, the track conditions are difficult. You want to put softer rubber on just to get a better feeling of the track. But no, there was something different about this practice session. Marc Marquez went out, the only rider on a medium front and a hard rear. Why is he doing this? And he immediately went 1 second faster than everyone else. He was doing race pace compared to everyone doing a flying lap at the start. And then with a few minutes to go in the session, he put in the soft rubber, put in his, qualifying attack mode. He then went 1.6 faster than everyone else at the end of FP1. And the crazy thing is, he didn't go quicker in FP1 until he got to qualifying. And that was the best time he had set that whole weekend. And then he focused on race pace until qualifying, set on pole position, and won the race so easily. It is prime Marc Marquez. And I think that's why 2024 has a special feeling when you think back about it. It was very akin to that. Yes, the track conditions played in his favour, but it's the same for everybody. He went out in FP1, he dominated, and he led every single session that weekend, I think apart from warm-up where he didn't go out. He just does things around there that's different. You see the different elements that he's able to do around Aragon with how much lean angle he gets around the left-hand corners, how he's able to brake, and how heavy he's able to brake in the stop-start bits. It's really special. Marc Marquez, in my opinion, Aragon is his circuit. And yeah, this weekend, I expect him to win, and I expect him to take 37 points home with him. Yeah, let me know what you think about Marc around Aragon. I do think it's interesting that his style is so suited around here because obviously, as you know, does a lot of dirt track training. The left-hand corners obviously suit him very much because it's just the way he is. And yeah, I think that there's not enough appreciation for how good he is around here. I think people are only realising that after last year. But when you go back and look, he's always been so fast around here. I think it's breathtaking what he does sometimes. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're very close to hitting 33,000 subscribers on YouTube. Check out the MotoGP podcast. I have an episode every week. And yeah, we'll see you next time.